Blind date disaster? Lonely CEO met the poor nanny, his childhood love, now a struggling single mom. Have you ever wondered if fate gives second chances? If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to a story that will take you through the highest highs and lowest lows of two souls destined to reconnect. If this is your kind of emotional journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss our next heart-wrenching tale of love, loss, and redemption. The rain pelted against the windows of Lucas Reid's corner office on the 42nd floor. The 36-year-old CEO of Reid Enterprises stared out at the gray skyline, the empire he'd built over the last decade spreading out before him like a concrete kingdom. Yet for all his wealth, for all his power, Lucas felt nothing but emptiness. "Mr. Reid, your 5 o'clock is here," his assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Lucas sighed. Another blind date arranged by his well-meaning sister. Another evening of forced smiles and superficial conversation with someone who saw his bank account before they saw him. "Send her in," he replied, straightening his tie. Across town, earlier that same day, Emma Walsh rushed through her tiny apartment, hair still damp from her shower. "Lily. Have you seen Mommy's good shoes? The black ones?" 6-year-old Lily looked up from her coloring book, her dark curls falling across her eyes in a way that made Emma's heart ache with memories. "Under the couch, Mommy." Emma dropped to her knees, reaching beneath the worn furniture. "What would I do without you, my little detective?" she said, slipping on the only pair of decent heels she owned, scuffed at the edges but polished to hide the wear. Today was important. Her friend Diane had somehow, miraculously, arranged an interview for her with a wealthy family needing a live-in nanny. The pay was triple what she made at the daycare center, and it included room and board. For a single mother drowning in medical bills from Lily's asthma treatments, it was a lifeline she couldn't afford to miss. "Mrs. Martinez will be here any minute to watch you," Emma said, applying a touch of mascara, her only makeup splurge. "Be good for her, okay? Mommy has a chance to make things better for us." Lily nodded solemnly, wise beyond her years. "Will we have to move again?" Emma's heart contracted. They'd moved 3 times in the past 2 years, each apartment smaller than the last as Emma's savings dwindled. "Maybe, sweetie. But if we do, it'll be to somewhere better. I promise." The doorbell rang, and Emma's already frantic morning accelerated. Neither Emma nor Lucas had any idea that fate had already set its wheels in motion. Neither knew that the blind date Lucas dreaded and the job interview Emma desperately needed were connected by invisible threads woven 20 years ago in a small coastal town where 2 children had once promised forever to each other. Lucas checked his watch again. 5:15 p.m. His date was 15 minutes late, and his patience was wearing thin. He'd been clear with his sister, this was the last blind date he would tolerate. The door to his office finally opened, and Lucas rose to his feet, professional smile in place. The woman who entered wasn't what he expected. No designer dress, no carefully curated appearance meant to impress. Instead, she wore a simple black dress that had seen better days, her brown hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun, her face flushed with the appearance of someone who had been running. "I'm so sorry I'm late," she began, her voice breathless. The subway had delays and then it started raining Anne. Lucas felt the world tilt sideways. That voice. After 20 years, he would know it anywhere. "Emma?" The name escaped his lips before he could stop it. She froze, really looking at him for the first time, and the color drained from her face. "Lucas?" 20 years fell away in an instant. Suddenly they weren't successful CEO and struggling single mother. They were 17 and 16 again, standing on the beach under a sky full of stars, making promises neither had kept. I'm supposed to be meeting with Mrs. Reid about the nanny position," Emma stammered, clutching her worn purse like a lifeline. Lucas's mind raced to catch up. "Mrs. Reid is my sister, Claire. She handles household staff for my personal residence." The pieces clicked into place with devastating clarity. And she also arranges my blind dates. Which apparently was scheduled for the same time as your interview. The silence between them stretched, 20 years of unspoken words filling the space. I should go, Emma finally said, taking a step backward. No. Lucas's voice was sharper than he intended. Softer, he added, please stay. That fateful meeting in Lucas's office was just the beginning. Neither could have predicted how their paths would continue to cross, how the daughter Lucas didn't know existed would capture his heart, or how the secrets Emma had kept would threaten to destroy their second chance before it even began. Lucas learned that Emma had returned to their hometown after he'd left for college, carrying a secret she never got to tell him: she was pregnant with his child. His parents, determined their son would have a bright future unencumbered by teenage fatherhood, had intercepted Emma's calls and letters. They told her Lucas wanted nothing to do with her or the baby, and told Lucas that Emma had moved on with someone else. By the time Emma gave birth to Lily, Lucas had buried his heartbreak in his studies and then his work, never returning to the coastal town where they'd grown up. Emma had struggled alone, raising Lily with help from her grandmother until the elderly woman passed away 3 years ago. Since then, it had been just the two of them against the world, moving from city to city as Emma chased better opportunities, medical care for Lily's asthma draining what little savings she managed to accumulate. Why didn't you try to find me again? Lucas asked one evening, weeks after their unexpected reunion. They sat on the balcony of his penthouse, the city lights twinkling below. Lily was asleep in the guest room, the room that had become hers since Emma accepted the nanny position at Lucas's sister's insistence. Emma stared into her tea, the warmth from the cup seeping into her perpetually cold hands. Your father showed me the check. What check? The one for $50,000, with my name on it. He said you had sent it to take care of the problem. Her voice caught. I tore it up and threw it in his face. I told him I didn't want your money, that I would raise my baby on my own. Lucas felt sick. The depths of his parents' deception were still revealing themselves. I never knew, Emma. I swear to you, I never knew about Lily. Emma nodded slowly. I believe you now. But for years, I thought you had abandoned us. That the boy who promised to love me forever had decided his future was worth more than mine. The revelation about Lily being his daughter had shaken Lucas to his core. The little girl with his eyes and Emma's smile was living proof of what they had once meant to each other. His initial joy at discovering he was a father quickly gave way to anger at his parents, at the years lost, at the struggles Emma had faced alone. But the path to becoming a family wasn't smooth. Emma had spent too many years being independent to easily accept Lucas's help. Her pride and fear of depending on someone who might disappear again created walls that Lucas struggled to break through. And Lily, though drawn to Lucas from their first meeting, was cautious about accepting this new man in their lives, having seen too many of her mother's relationships fail. You can't just buy your way into our lives, Emma had shouted during one of their early arguments, when Lucas suggested they move into his penthouse permanently. Lily and I aren't one of your companies that you can acquire when it suits you. Lucas had recoiled as if slapped. Is that what you think? That you're some kind of acquisition to me? What am I supposed to think? You find out you have a daughter and suddenly you want to play happy family? Life doesn't work that way, Lucas. You can't make up for 6 years of absence by throwing money at us. I'm not trying to buy you, Emma, he'd said, his voice dropping to a whisper. I'm trying to take care of you both. The way I should have been doing all along. The turning point came unexpectedly, as turning points often do. Lily had a severe asthma attack during a company picnic that Lucas had invited them to. As Emma froze in panic, Lucas swept into action, calmly administering Lily's emergency medication and getting her to the hospital. He stayed by her bedside all night, his hand clutching the little girl's even as she slept. Emma, watching from the doorway of the hospital room, felt the last of her walls begin to crumble. This wasn't a man trying to buy his way into their lives. This was a father, desperate to protect his child. "She has your eyes," Emma said softly, entering the room. Lucas looked up, exhaustion etched on his face. "She has your strength." That night, as Lily recovered, Lucas and Emma began to truly talk, about the past, about their mistakes, about the future they might build together. "I never stopped loving you," Lucas admitted. "I tried. God knows I tried. I dated, I built my company, I created the life everyone expected me to have. But there was always something missing. Someone missing." Emma's tears fell freely. "I told myself I hated you for so long. It was easier than admitting I still loved the boy who broke my heart." Their reconciliation wasn't immediate. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. But day by day, week by week, they found their way back to each other. Lucas learned to be a father, attending Lily's school events, helping with homework, discovering the joy of bedtime stories and Sunday morning pancakes. Emma learned to accept help, to believe in Lucas's promises, to trust that this time, he wouldn't leave. The day Lucas proposed wasn't grand or elaborate. There was no expensive restaurant, no ring hidden in champagne. Instead, it happened on a Tuesday afternoon in Emma's tiny apartment, the one she had insisted on keeping even as she and Lily spent more and more time at Lucas's penthouse. Lucas had come to help her pack some of Lily's things. They had finally agreed to move in together officially, a step that had taken months of careful negotiation and compromise. As Emma folded one of Lily's sweaters, she found a crayon drawing tucked in the pocket. It showed 3 stick figures, a tall one labeled Dad, a medium one labeled Mom, and a small one labeled Me. Above them, in a child's uneven handwriting, were the words, "My family." Emma's hands trembled as she showed it to Lucas. He took the drawing, studied it with a reverence that made Emma's heart swell, then set it carefully on the dresser. From his pocket, he pulled out a small, worn velvet box. "This was my grandmother's," he said, opening it to reveal a simple solitaire diamond ring. "She gave it to me before she died. She told me to save it for when I found the kind of love that endures." Emma's breath caught. "I thought I'd lost that kind of love 20 years ago," Lucas continued. "I never expected to get a second chance. But here we are." He dropped to one knee, the CEO of a billion-dollar company kneeling on the threadbare carpet of a tiny apartment. "Emma Walsh, will you and Lily do me the honor of becoming my family, officially this time?" The wedding was small, with Lily as the flower girl, proudly scattering petals down the aisle before her parents exchanged vows under an arbor on the beach, the same beach where they had made their teenage promises 2 decades earlier. But life isn't a fairy tale, and marriage isn't an ending, it's a beginning. The real work began after the honeymoon, as they learned to blend their lives, to parent together, to navigate the complexities of their vastly different worlds. Lucas had to learn that his wealth couldn't solve every problem. Emma had to learn that accepting help wasn't the same as surrendering her independence. And Lily, bright and perceptive Lily, had to adjust to having a father after years of it being just her and her mother against the world. There were missteps and arguments, tears and reconciliations. Lucas's parents attempted to re-enter their son's life upon hearing of his marriage, only to be met with conditions: acknowledge their wrongdoing, apologize to Emma, and commit to being the grandparents Lily deserved. It was a rocky road to forgiveness, but one they eventually navigated together. 2 years after their wedding, as Lucas watched Emma teaching Lily to ride a bike in the park near their new home, a compromise between his desire for luxury and her need for normalcy, he reflected on the journey that had brought them here. His phone buzzed with a text from his sister: "Congrats on the baby news. Lily's going to be a great big sister. Red heart." Lucas smiled, his hand instinctively going to the ultrasound photo in his pocket. Another chance to get it right from the beginning this time. Life had taught Lucas Reid, CEO of Reid Enterprises, many lessons. But the most important one came not from Harvard Business School or boardroom negotiations, but from the woman who had once been a girl on a beach, promising him forever, and the daughter who had his eyes and her mother's indomitable spirit. Sometimes, the most valuable things in life can't be bought. Sometimes, the most successful ventures aren't measured in profit margins. Sometimes, the greatest second chances come disguised as disasters. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe conspires to return to you what was always meant to be yours. As Lucas joined his wife and daughter, Emma's laughter carried on the breeze, the same laugh that had captured his heart when they were just kids with dreams too big for their small town. This time, he wouldn't let go. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more emotional journeys of love lost and found. Remember, it's never too late for a second chance at happiness, sometimes it's waiting where you least expect it.